And we're live. Hi, I'm Tom Benty. This is my esteemed guest,
Alexandru Aldea.
the pride and joy of Caldwell, New Jersey.
Caldwell, New Jersey, yes.
And here we are in my studio, our world-class studio across from the Menlo Park Mall in Edison, New Jersey, 10 Parsonage Road. And Alex is my guest today, and we are going to talk about Alex's esteemed acting career. He was just on...
Blue Bloods.
Blue Bloods. Alex has a very interesting history. He went from being an attorney to making a career move to being an actor just a few years ago. He's going to talk about that really cool life change. And he's going to talk about his part in my project, The American Benefactor, which we're going to film starting next weekend.
Very excited about that.
And he has a couple other projects that he's looking to promote as well.
Sure.
So let's talk about Blue Bloods.
Okay.
When did it air? And tell us the entire process of how you got the part and your position on set.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, obviously, I really want to thank my manager, Kathy Olson from Encompass Arts. She was instrumental in getting me that part. And I'm very, very happy and honored to have been on Blue Bloods. My thanks to CBS and to the kind folks at Blue Bloods for everything. I worked on it for an episode this past season. It was season 9, episode 6. It was called Trust, and I play an attorney. And it's funny because the writer of the episode, when I was on set, came up to me and he goes, "Oh, you're the attorney that's going to be playing an attorney." And I said, "Yes, I am, sir." So, naturally I give him my card and say, "Anything you need, you just let me know."
So when you went on the audition, you referenced that you were actually an attorney.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. When I went to the audition, yes. And it was strange because the audition wasn't written. There was nothing written. It was basically improv. So, I started, saying some things that attorneys would say, and I guess that did it. So they said, "Yeah, you're our boy."
All right, very cool. Very cool. And when did that air?
That aired actually about, I would say about a month and a half ago.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so relatively recently.
I guess a lot of actors want to know, like, if you get a part on a big-time show like Blue Bloods, what's the process like? Is there a rehearsal process? Is it very technical based in terms of like the blocking? Like, how does the whole day plan out?
Sure. So in a big show like that, you're basically plugged into a machine. The machine just rolls along and it does what it does at the highest level. So everybody's phenomenal. Makeup people, the hair people, all of those already know their jobs. They're all doing what they do every day. You as a co-star or a guest star kind of get plugged into that. And Heather O'Scanlan was on the episode right before mine.
Oh, very cool.
And Rick Zahn, another friend, was on earlier in the episode. So, a bunch of people that I know were all got on this season. So that was really encouraging all around. There's good actors, people that I know that are getting work. So that's really cool.
Sure.
But, so basically you come on board, let's say a week or so beforehand. I did the audition. They let me know So on Monday, let's say, of the week, they let me know. They said, come in on Tuesday, so drive to Greenpoint, Brooklyn. Come in on Tuesday for the fitting. So you go in and you meet with the costume people, the wardrobe folks, and they get you all done up like you're going to be on the day of. And then that third day on Wednesday, they shoot the episode. So it's
just very quick.
Super fast, and you get your part, you get what you're supposed to be doing. I assume for the larger parts, if you're going on for a character arc with a guest star, it's probably a little bit more lead time, but probably not much.
Right.
So yeah, they just they got you do your thing, and you're out.
Very cool.
So I got to work with Donnie Wahlberg. I got to meet Tom Selleck. It's just amazing. I mean, folks that I've grown up in and around, and now being an actor, they're colleagues. So that's a great thing.
That's awesome.
Really, really cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. So let's talk about how you got into acting.
Sure.
Career move. Mm-hmm. You hit a certain point in your life. You're like, I don't want to be an attorney anymore, or I don't want to go back to being an attorney per se. What made you make this decision, and how has the process been? Like, what were the steps involved in making a complete career change like that?
Part of it is my promise to myself to kind of, excuse the pun, burn my boats. So in other words, you get to the shore, you burn your boat so you can never go back. In an essence, I was in law for 8 years. Bounced around, did some different things. Quite an eclectic career within that 8 years. After that, went to do investment banking for a couple of years with a friend of mine from high school. We had our own investment banking boutique. There's about 7 partners, and in the mergers and acquisitions field. Okay, so after about 2 years of that, the boutique was going through some changes. I thought now's probably a good time to do something else. I just hit 40, and it was a real crisis of conscience, because what do you do? All right, here I am, 40-year-olds at a crossroads. I want to think about what my next thing is. Do I want to go back to law? No. I'm kind of burned out there. It's not really something I want to do. Do I want to do investment banking? No. So those 2 things being out, well, what do you do? Right then, a friend of mine was doing a TV pilot, and he said, well, do you want to be in this? I'll happily, write you a part, and you could do it. I said, well, I haven't really done acting since college, and, I'm involved in a fraternity and a couple of other societies, so to speak, where a lot of stuff is memorized. So I was getting very used to that. I'd done that for about 5 years before that. So that's how I got to meet my friend. And he trusted me, saw my work there, and said, hey, would you like to be a part of the show? And I said, sure. And I got bit by the acting bug, man, hard. And that was, since then, I've dedicated my life to doing this. And I said, I'm putting everything else aside. I'm just going to be an actor from now on. I approached my friend Eric Bross, and I'll talk about his movie that I'll be doing later on this year, a little bit later. But and I said, hey, you've been a director for 25 years. What do you recommend that I do? And he said, well, you need a good base and a good education, and you should look at the William Esmer Studio. That's in the city. So I went there, and I got in. And at the beginning of 2016, I got in and did the whole first year, let's say. And then right around the end of that first year, we mutually agreed that I should not come back. Okay. So some things happened in and around there. So after that, I worked with Bob Krakauer, one of the great TV and film acting teachers. That opened up my world in a huge respect. I went to the Manhattan Film Institute, which is a 2-week over the summer camping. Is basically film camp, and you do 26 short films in the course of 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, and you get to work with Bob very closely, as well as Tony Spiridakis, who did Queen's Logic back in the day and many other films. He was a director and a writer, a very good writer. And so we worked together doing that. And then I was kind of off to the races after that. I got my manager, had a reel, had the whole thing, so that's what took me to, I guess, the next level.
Very cool. Yeah, I saw you in a film festival over the summer in a project called All About Rita.
All About Rita,
which
yeah.
you wrote. Did you direct as well?
I didn't.
Okay.
I basically acted in it, produced it, helped with the writing of it, yeah.
So, yeah, I saw you. I was like, wow, this guy's a really talented actor. Like, very natural on screen. Very just cool mannerisms. Like, just very believable, organic, and genuine. And I'm putting together a project, the American Benefactor, and I thought that you'd play a really great Roven, the character of Roven. And Roven is, as we've been talking about, is someone who's very logically based. He sees things very transactional. He talks about sexual market value. He talks about, he views human beings as commodities and not like humans per se. Like, what's their value, what's their worth. And where my character is much more emotionally based, like someone who's like very with their heart, thinks with their heart all the time. And that's where we clash, but we also learn from each other. And we see things from each other's perspectives as the season progresses. But how are you approaching the Roven character? Like, what is your mindset, or what's the preparation process for you?
Oh, that's a really great question. I think part of it is just understanding where he comes from. What is his world? For instance, I did this one short where I played what can be said to be a racist cop. You see that from the outside, looking at it. It's a cop that had a questionable arrest, and black district attorney is kind of going after him for exactly that purpose. So exactly that reason. But in his mind, he's not racist. In his mind, he's doing a job, and he's doing so. Obviously, in Roven's mind, sexual market value and all that stuff is just it's a description. It's a way to very clearly delineate, okay, this is this, that's that, that's how his mind works in these little cubby holes of ideas. But, to him, there's nothing untoward about that. It's just perfectly normal that would be the way that life works, let's say, for instance. So, that's part of the understanding of what makes his character tick. How are they human? How do they interact? What's the relationship between him and the secretary that he's interested in, or what's the relationship between him and your character? Because everything functions on relationships. It's never about what is this person in a void, right? It's about how do these relationships interact, and how does that add to the larger story. So that's usually my prep, how I go about thinking about those kinds of things.
Very cool.
Yeah, and that solves a lot of problems ultimately.
Yeah, it does. In terms of how the characters react and how you approach it.
Yeah.
So tell us more about some of the projects that you're working on. Anything you'd like to promote?
Well, again, my friend Eric Bross and Tom Cudworth are doing a phenomenal movie that's going to be shot later on this year, probably in the fall, called America's Favorite. And that's going to be shot down in Virginia. And that's in the process of pre-production right now. I'm doing another film with a good friend and writer, Tom Bragg. It's called Crazy for the Blonde. Myself, Mike Funk, Kristen Murai. It's going to be a great cast, and it's going.
And he's a great director. I've seen some of his.
Well,
work,
he's good.
really.
He's a good writer.
He's a good writer.
The guy who's going to be directing is actually Mark Klauberg.
Okay.
Of great festival fame, doing a bunch of other wonderful things. So Mark's going to be directing that, and I'm very, very excited to work with Mark. Actually, I'm working on with another small project called The Time Between the Seconds. That's his project. It's kind of his opus. So he's very interested in that right now. And aside from that, got a couple of other things in the hopper. But a lot of things on the festival circuit, and hopefully more TV to come.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that goes. But
it's early on in the year.
Yes.
We have a whole 2019 ahead of us.
That's
so
true.
Hopefully for all of us, Alex, myself, and everyone out there, it could be a very prosperous, productive new year.
We wish you the best.
Wish you
Absolutely.
all the best. All right, so Alex, thank you. I'm really excited to have you on board with American Benefactor.
Thank you.
And
Happy to be here.
let's make it a great 2019, everyone.
We will.
All right, thank you.